Uzbekistan is rapidly emerging as a key player in the global critical minerals landscape. This session will explore how the country can maximize value creation by integrating upstream, midstream, and downstream activities, driven by TMK's nationally coordinated vision and infrastructure. Our speakers will discuss the role of strategic partnerships and foreign direct investment in accelerating the development of Uzbekistan's critical minerals ecosystem and securing its place within global supply chains. We'll also examine how the country's industrial growth aligns with the evolving priorities of international partners and broader supply chain resilience strategies. Join us as we uncover Uzbekistan's path to becoming a powerhouse in critical minerals.
Good morning, everyone. Critical raw materials. Why are they critical? Who established them as critical? I think we all recognize, since you're here, the importance of critical raw materials are essential to advanced economies, manufacturing industry, which is oftentimes the driver for their economies. So what we will be talking about today is what Uzbekistan is doing on the supply side of the critical raw materials. For those of you, if you take the time and research a little bit about critical raw materials, I think you'll find there's enormous amount of studies done on the demand side. They all conclude the same thing. It's not enough, and what is available is from a single source. President Mirziyoyev's vision is an incredible vision because it is the vision that addresses the supply side of these critical raw materials. TMK, under his decree, was formed just about a year ago, and all of the critical raw material assets within Uzbekistan was entrusted to TMK to develop and provide for the global supply chain. I find myself privileged as well as honored to be a part of this incredible vision, to play a small role in helping materialize this vision in executing its associated mission. What we want to present today to you is the asset base of TMK related to critical raw materials, what we're doing today, what we plan to do in the near future and far future. But it is not just the asset base that is important. As we all know, in critical raw material, in the mining industry, human resources, the capacity and capability of the human resources is one of our biggest deficiencies. So what you will be seeing today is our leadership in TMK that is actually executing the vision of the president. I am very proud to be a part of these individuals that you see on the stage today that have incredible experience related to critical raw materials, incredible knowledge base associated with the critical raw materials. But it is the spirit of these individuals and the excitement that they bring that I am confident that Uzbekistan is going to make a material impact to the global supply chain in the near future. I want to congratulate our leader, our chairman, Fahad Abdullayev. It's under his leadership that TMK is on the right track. So with that, I'd like to introduce very quickly who we will be presenting. We will have Ulu Ruziev, which is our operational leader. He will be followed by Hakkı Boz, which is the leader of our project development. Following Hakkı is Amir Abidov, which is the research and development component of the critical raw materials. And I like to emphasize that the R&D component of critical raw materials is not a luxury, it is an essential part of the industry. So with that, I'd like to invite Ulu to start with describing to you about the current operations of TMK. Ulu?
Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear partners, let me share the words of gratitude for organizing MINEX Central Asia 2025. I would like to share about Uzbekistan Technological Metals Complex, TMK. It's the biggest in Central Asia with a full technological cycle. And it consists of the operating these metal production, the molybdenum, tungsten, and the metal production, which is being produced by TMK, is tungsten and molybdenum, and also it's different kind of the operating metal production, the metal and molybdenum and rhenium metal we have with the um, and Uzbekistan Comnat, the TMK today, it also includes the downstream, the aluminum, the polychromate aluminum, which is also very relevant in the international market. So today, in our combinat, we have and implemented the processes which do not have any analogs in Central Asia, like source of tungsten and molybdenum of the come of and also the recycling of silicon concentrates. In 2024, the TMK for the first time in Central Asia, the it started the recycling the tungsten recycling in Samarkand region to extract the tungsten extract for high capacity efficiency of the MK and the production of tungsten. It's according to nomenclature in internal and external markets, according to the strategy of our republic, which is directed for high technological production with a high level of
In addition, at the beginning of this year, we implemented the project on producing ammonia perlmutate in Navajo region. Every year we are planning to produce perlmutate of ammonia, and productivity of the plant is aimed to export into European countries. 95% of the product is currently being exported. In 2025, we're planning to export about $50 million worth. As I said before, the plant has production cycles starting from production up to final products. Our plans is to have critical expansion of raw materials production as well as final goods through organized partnership. Thank you very much for your attention.
Like I said, TMK is not a theory on paper, it's an operational company in critical raw materials throughout the value chain, upstream, midstream, and downstream. So now I'd like to invite Hakkı Boz to talk about our project portfolio.
Yeah, that's the project time. All my life passed on the mining side. I develop projects, I develop technologies, I construct the mine and operate the mine. Thanks, Mr. Han invited me to make speeches, although I am not used to do this kind of speeches. I prefer, I feel comfortable to work at site, at mine sites, and create value for the companies and for the, of course, countries. So, if we talk about our projects, let me first discover how to move the slides. Okay. Yeah, we have got lots of projects. As you see here, total 96 projects. Already we have been working on it. So there are different categories. Of course, some of them development projects and with different minerals, you can see that. And R&D projects, Mr. Amir will talk about in details about this project, and exploration projects. Exploration is very, I see, is vital for mining companies, because if you do the exploration, if you spend money for exploration, you can expand your organization and you can extend your mine lives. So, and thanks to our management, they give emphasize and spare resources, and we can be able to develop the new projects by doing the exploration works. Okay, so how we will run these projects successfully? So the people is important. So our teamwork is important. So that's the reason first we put our organization. So to show that we are capable to run this project successfully. So if you see here, we have got mining professionals, expatriates, and well-educated Uzbek professionals establish our teams, and we can be able to run our projects, like permitting compliance department, exploration department, the project development departments, which is very important to create new projects and put in our pipeline. Okay, so on our projects, we put in three categories. Of course, one of the categories is the early stage projects. This is the exploration stage projects. And when we do the sufficient progress on this first stage and create value and doing the scoping studies, we move to the next step as PFS study. And after the PFS study, of course, is the final stage to the definitive feasibility studies and doing the constructions. So on all our projects, when we look at our portfolio, we have got number of projects, significant number of projects at the exploration side, and very good size of projects at the pre-feasibility stage side, and also final construction stage. So I would like to talk about this, give the examples of the projects in my speech. So to run our projects, of course, we follow international standards. JORC standard is widely accepted. It is part of the world. And also 43101 is another standard which mostly accepted all part of the world. So we follow international standards when we are executing our projects, starting from exploration, starting from drilling, chemical analysis, project feasibility studies, and also construction and operations. We will follow the international standards. And when we are doing this, of course, we work with international consultants. So most of them I have seen here. I met them, and we will have discussions, of course, after this meeting as well with them. And also accredited laboratories on assaying, on metallurgical test works. Make sure that our works all is quality work we do, is so it can be trustable results we can achieve. So on the developed projects, I would like to start with from here on stage 3. So Sarıkul Tungsten project is one of the projects which we plan a fast track project. So this project has 2.4 million ton of reserve, but it has enormous amount of resources, 6 million ton of resources for this project. During feasibility study, we are considering to investigate opportunities to increase the capacities and produce more on this project. Because on this Sarıkul project, there is another project, exploration activities continue as Şarkı Sarıkul. There is another resources, 6 million ton of there. I think this project will create a significant value for TMKs within a very short time. So with our plan, end of 2026, we are considering to finish the construction, and early 2027 will be in production at this project. Second project, I would like to show you Taskazgan project. This is graphite project. Why I would like to show this project? This shows our strategy. Because we started the pre-feasibility study on this project, and later on we have a partner, Anadolu Group, international partner, and we have a partnership agreement with them, and we now work in a joint venture with them, and they have been hand over the feasibility study, site works, and they are now the operator of the work. So on all our projects mentioned in our list, we are open for this kind of partnership. So we can be able to do the exploration, bring the feasibility studies to a certain level, and then we can use partnership to progress on the project. So for this project, is 9 million ton of reserve, and 2 million ton of production rate has been considered, and hopefully 2027, early 2027, this will be also in operational. Similar to Sarıkul, this will be also a fast-track project. So we will utilize Anadolu Group, our international partners, to make a fast-track on this project. So if I give example on our feasibility, pre-feasibility level projects, so one of them is, of course, is the MISCOM project. This is the world-class project. So 800 million ton of the resources, and there is an opportunity to make 200 million ton of the reserve for this project, and it is just close to Almalık copper complex, so it has high potential to go further, increasing the capacity, the resource and reserve. So on this project, it is a low grade but high throughput project. So we will initiate pre-feasibility study on this. We will do gap analysis and identify our further works to comply with the JORC standards when we complete this pre-feasibility study by end of Q3. So we will have a decent, very good project, and with the financials, of course, we can be able to demonstrate it. Okay, so if we go to another project on the pre-feasibility stage is the Madanlı project. This also shows we are open to work with joint venture, establish a joint venture work with the other Uzbekistan institutes, like Nova Uran, for example. They have been working on this to prepare the pre-feasibility study, and they, of course, working on that to develop uranium recoveries, and we have been working on it to extract the vanadium and also other elements, which byproduct elements. So this is a joint project, and in 2026 Q2, we will have a pre-feasibility study on this project. So if we talk about exploration, as I mentioned at the beginning, exploration is very important for mines. So if you do spend money on exploration and also research, you can expand your mine life. So in our portfolio, just I would like to give examples, although this goes to 30, 40 items, just I put a selected numbers, like Karakaya and Tomcali. That's very important for us because Sarıkul project will be in operation very soon. But we need new projects to put in pipeline. So we can be able to fill the gap and move forward. So Karakaya is another one, which hopefully after Sarıkul, we can be able to talk about this with next summits. And Sazagan and Zakathana, this is graphite project. That's another project which we would like to focus on it and put into pipeline after Tazgaz Dam. And Sultan Babol, Olobulak, Daikali, and other projects also at the exploration stage. So all our efforts to complete the exploration, develop the technology, and then move them to further stages. On the tailing side, it has been talked in previous session, that's readily available material. So you don't need to discover anything. You don't need to do drill anything. It's already there. Just we have been planning to make a representative sampling at this area, to make chemical analysis, look at the technologies, and how we can recover environmental friendly, how we can recover this. We will focus on this and get value out of these tailings and environmentally, of course, make safe the tailing areas as well. So this is the number of projects which we are focusing on it, like Ingishka tailings. So we are planning to increase capacity and produce more ore from this area, and similarly other projects we have been working on it. So from this speech, what I would like to emphasize, first of all, we have lots of projects, we have lots of work, and we have got, of course, the organization, we can be able to achieve this. And also, thanks to TMK management leadership, they directed us to follow the international standards. So working with international companies, getting the experience, know-how from the other well-developed countries and the organizations. And another item which I would like to emphasize, Uzbekistan has a very large database left from Soviet Union, and later on, Uzbekistan Geology Department, they made extension studies, drillings, the trenches, chemistry, geophysics. They performed a lot of works, exploration works. Just we need to look at properly and make a judgment and turn them to projects. So we have a dedicated team for this purpose, and we will investigate, look at the old data, and from this huge data, we will hopefully get a number of good projects for our portfolio. And also I mentioned, so we have experienced organization, team members, and also well-educated professionals. As I mentioned in previous speech, presentations, so we welcome partnership at different levels, even from the exploration stage till the, the final stage, construction and operation. We are open and we demonstrate some examples and welcome for this partnership as well. Thank you very much for the opportunity speaking here. And if you have any question or the other projects, you're welcome after this session or anytime. Just catch me, we can have a talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hakkı. Yeah, we have a lot of projects. I think I really like that term. It it brings justice to the project portfolio we have. Just an anecdote. So we have been working on our presentation for some time now, and it was interesting to find out when I went into the conference room one day, there was a heated debate going on which projects to present to you. So again, these are just select projects, which I think took some time to decide which one was going to be presented. So take these as as an example of the project portfolio we have. Associated with this project development, we also in our strategy have a hub concept. You'll hear that term quite often. That hub concept translates into technoparks. So I'd like to invite Ulu again to talk about our technopark and hub concept.
Dear, dear ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you again at our forum. We are happy to present to you the perspective site to develop your business, the territory of which combines good position, modern infrastructure, and broad range of opportunities. Today we are planning to develop in four regions, technoparks: Tashkent region, Cherchik, Akhangaran, Jazak region, and Samarkand region, where we will offer free space, office space, production space, ready to use, available plots of land for construction of new objects and expansion of existing production. Also tax benefits, including reducing the profit tax, property tax, and other ways of government support. In addition to that, customs preferences allowing to import raw materials and equipment with minimal costs and in the shortest time. We develop conditions under which business can get developed in a stable and assured way. Also, Technopark is focused on attracting expert-oriented and technologically intensive projects. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to offer individual approach and flexible conditions to every partner and all support at all stages of implementation of your project. We would like to invite you to become a part of community which would develop the future. Thank you for your attention. We're open for cooperation. Thank you.
This hub concept is a part of our strategy, which we believe is an important part of our overall strategy and the tactical plan. If you do a little bit of analysis on the critical raw materials on the supply side, what you will find out is the dominant supplier is not necessarily has abundance of critical raw materials, but has the abundance amount of processing facility. So one of the things that we are going to be focusing on, as has been presented before, not just the upstream, but obviously the midstream where the metal is produced, and then downstream. Now in the downstream, it's interesting in the critical raw materials, the dialogues that we're having at the governmental level, as well as on the technology side, there's an entity that is missing in this dialogue, that is the end users, or oftentimes referred to as the OEMs. And I think what we are trying to provide here as a part of our strategy is an optionality for the manufacturing industry that is in desperate need for these critical raw materials to come to Uzbekistan, not only have a long-term security on the critical raw materials in this special economic zones, but have the optionality to be able to perhaps co-locate some of their manufacturing facilities in a heavily incentivized zone, and even perhaps open up a new market area within Central Asia. So we view this as an important part of our strategy because we believe this brings an optionality to the end users, and hopefully through this we can bring them into this critical raw material dialogue. I've been in the mining business for 40 years, and in that time frame, until I came to TMK, in none of the entities or enterprises that I worked in, there was an R&D facility. Our leader in the R&D, Amir Abidov, within the short period of time that I've spent in Uzbekistan, taught me a lot. I learned through him that critical raw materials is not about mining. That is the easy part. It's not about processing. It is challenging, but easily solvable. But it is as much as metallurgy technology, but it is a material science. So the R&D in the critical raw materials, if you want to be a player that provides a material impact on the global supply chain, I am a firm believer if you don't have R&D facility and an R&D department with the obviously the human resources capacity and capability support that, I don't think you're going to be able to provide anything material. So with that, I'd like to give the stage to Amir, my teacher.
Greetings, dear ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be here. My name is Amir Abidov. I'm Deputy Chairman on Innovation, Technological Development, Doctor of Advanced Material Science and Engineering. And Mr. Han, actually you are my teacher. I learned a lot from you. We hear everywhere, what's innovation? What is it, innovation? Somebody thinks it's science, some research. No. Innovation, it's the research results which brings money, the profit to the company. So that's why my position is innovative and technological development. There is a big demand for innovation. The continuous shift to renewable energy, ongoing urbanization requires larger and larger quantities of metals such as vanadium, lithium, tungsten, molybdenum, graphite, magnesium. So we cannot live with these metals. And the process of extracting and producing these materials for renewable energy, for our living, leads to more damage than advantages they offer. So it's not beneficial for anyone. A significant portion of the technology is required to be to reduce CO2 emission to net zero by 2050. And technology is not currently available for that, which means we must actively contribute, support, and collaborate to turn this goal into reality. We are forming valuable partnerships and connections to address challenges and facilitate change. Innovative technologies present new prospects for our business as well. For instance, Mr. Akivos presented about geological exploration. Advancement in technology are assisting our geologists in discovering new deposits, making previously unfeasible resources economically viable, and prolonging the lifespan of current assets. For instance, we are generating new products from having developed a method extracting tungsten from waste tailing at Ingishka mine. In order to do innovation, technological development, we need an ecosystem. And we call our ecosystem R&D Park. It has science, it has academia, and it's technology. These are our key components of our R&D park. The goal of OSTMK's ecosystem is ensuring health and safety, minimizing environmental effects, fostering the growth of our company, achieving decarbonization. This is very important, and enhancing manufacturing efficiency. We are creating an industry-leading technology and our R&D park. We are partnering with universities, with technology providers, with startups to develop and accelerate technology that can support our strategy. And the components of ecosystem is our Uzbekistan Korea Rare Metal Center, Nano Analytical Laboratory, and the Center for Innovative Projects, and of course, Graduate School of Technological Metals. Let me briefly explain what is it. In 2019, we created Uzbekistan Korea Rare Metal Center with Korea Institute of Industrial Technology. It's our official partner. And we work on nanotechnology, hard alloys, metallurgical research on high purity metals, mineral concentration. We develop new structures and materials because, as Mr. Han said, not only metal is important, not only composition, but structure as well. Because we see graphite, it's cheap material, but graphene is also carbon. It's different, structure is different. Or diamond, it's also carbon, but more and more expensive one. That's why we develop structure. And thanks to Korean government for ODA grant, we received grant through Korea Institute of Advancement Technology, $11 million for commercializing our research. We develop a pilot manufacturing. This is very important. From lab scale, the first step, and now it's pilot scale. And after getting all the feasible results, we go further to make a project. Our official partner for this is Korean National Institute for Rare Metals and Korea Testing and Certification Institute. Also, previous presentation, you've seen that we have so many commodities, so many critical metals, and this is very complex. How to analyze materials, how to analyze metals from the upstream, midstream, and downstream. So we need a very nice advanced laboratory, all in one place, critical raw materials, laboratory that ensures correct results for the industry. So we are creating this nano-analytical laboratory for all in one place. Not only non-ferrous or ferrous materials, but all critical raw materials, including precious metals, including rare metals, and full cycle from upstream, midstream to downstream as well. We are working with SGS company for this. We are creating a world-class laboratory with the pilot facilities for ore processing, mineral analyzing, and for hydrometallurgy as well. Next one. So we did lab scale research, we did pilot scale research, we did all analytics. What's next? How about commercializing? So this is the Center for Innovative Projects. It is used for commercializing. Here we do marketing analysis, we do studies, we make financial models here. We develop a new product and we do packaging of the product and becomes innovation. Also, one of the components is Graduate School of Technological Metals. We have two education programs, 1+1 program with University of Geology and Science of Wuhan for graduate school. And with Pisa University, we have an undergraduate program. In Uzbekistan, our main technological partner is University of Geological Science and Tashkent State Technical University. Also, we have our partners from worldwide, including Korean Institute of Industrial Technology, where our employees have internships. And here at the metals, you can see from upstream and midstream, we develop technologies. As our colleagues said, more than 44 projects are R&D. So some of them are upstream and midstream. That means extracting metals from the ore, from mineral, and then metallurgy. That means bringing metal to extract metal from the ore and make it in the metal form. And other one is downstream R&D project, which are more complicated one and more unique. High purity metals. For instance, selenium and tellurium are used for semiconductor industry, and the price is much higher than the original metal one. And the downstream products include functional coatings, alloys, composite materials, and powder metallurgy. We are creating new advanced products using powder metallurgy. So at the end, what can I say? We are seeking for partnership. It can be small and medium enterprise. It can be a large company, technological partner in R&D, in technology transfer, in science, of course, in human development. Please find me after this presentation and we can discuss all the details. Thank you very much.
Amir, Ulu, Hakkı, thank you. Thank you very much. I think that was, in my opinion, a good representation of who TMK is today, who we want to be in the near future and in the far future as well. My takeaways, 70 plus assets, 25 different commodities. Other than the dominant force, ladies and gentlemen, there is none other than TMK that has that project portfolio that focuses on 25 different commodities. It's also equally challenging because we have a saying in the US, the kid in a candy store, that the tendency is try to do everything at the same time. So we're very disciplined under our leader, Ferhat Abdullayev, to stick to our tactical plan and execute that in a disciplined manner. I think it's important to recognize that it's not just the asset base that is important, but that asset base currently is operating throughout the full value chain. We use these terms quite often, and sometimes it loses its importance. Upstream is the mining operation. TMK is not a mining company. The mining operation is our cost base. The concentrate that comes from the mining operations, the upstream, goes to our revenue generating, which is the midstream. That's where we generate metal. The downstream is a completely different business. In the downstream, we produce end products, which each one of them have a different market share that we want to also expand into and capture international market share. As you have seen, as we talk about TMK, I use the term quite often, and this is not a theory on paper, it is operational. You're seeing the leadership here. The HR capacity and capability in the overall mining industry is one of our biggest challenges. And I'm very excited to be in this country where I think more than 60% of the population is less than age 30, extremely energetic, extremely willing to learn. With this leadership that we have here, I think the HR capacity and capability risks is marginalized. The vision is incredible. But a vision on paper, obviously, without capital, is very hard to execute. So one thing that I also like to leave you with is TMK is funded. TMK has been allocated from Uzbekistan Reconstruction and Development Fund of $200 million to initiate the execution of our tactical plan. That is quite important, particularly if you consider that to be equity, which is the equity component, as most of you in the financial aspect or part of the industry will know that it's extremely tight. You've heard quite a bit about partnership, and we use that word, I think, quite liberally. I think it means different meaning to different individuals. There is quite a bit of interest that we get in partnering, investing, financing some of our projects. I would encourage you to do something different. Obviously, we're open to having those discussions. But try being a partner in the vision. That vision is the one that is very unique in the critical raw materials. So I would encourage you, as we move forward, think about being a part of that vision. So with this, we have 45 minutes, and I have been tasked to moderate. As you have seen from my comments, it is important for the moderators to be impartial, and as you have noticed that I'm completely impartial. So with this, I'll have some questions, but I would like this to be an interactive. Hopefully, some of my questions will generate other questions from the audience that I'd like you guys to participate in this dialogue. My first question is to our Deputy Minister, Ulal Yusupov. Deputy Minister Yusupov, can you tell us a little bit about the tax regime in Uzbekistan related to the mining industry?
Thank you very much for your question. Yes, our state leader and our government, they implemented a lot of initiatives, especially in mining and also in taxation. So it should be also competitive and also attractive. And this in our tax code. Tax code defines a tax regime for each type of metal, specifically for the extraction, for the exploration. For the exploration part, the minimum is 10% of minimum sum. So it's around 40 million. And 15% it is it's for exploration. It's around 56 million sols, and also for extraction, for iron, for also for precious metal, for platinum it's 7%. For non-ferrous, it's also again 7%. It's copper and others. And for uranium or critical, so it is 8% for using the underground plots, land plots. And also in techno parks, if you are going to implement projects there, dear investors, so free economic zones. They will have all those preferences that are in, for economic zones. And as our esteemed president's instructions on the creation of those value chains, when we are talking about the mining chain, for 10 years, the taxes for rent, they will be reimbursed to investors. So I believe this is short introduction of taxation, and I ask investors to join us in our projects. Katta rahmat, vazir o'rinbosari, siz inson salohiyatini rivojlantirish tashabbusi ham haqida ham gapiryapsiz. Thank you very much for your question. Yes, there is in Russian, there is this saying, human resources, so they are paramount. And in the mining sector, we have 4 universities. It's in one in Navai, also in Al-Malik, in Tashkent, and also University of Geological Sciences. So we have 4 universities with 14 students, 14,000 students right now. And I would emphasize that for gold, uranium, copper, and zinc, we have strong potential, human potential for that. For example, in Malawi complex in 2017, under the Kwandik Sanakulovic management. So the technology on extraction of gold, they received an award, UN award, and also in Hawaii, based on that human capacity, they implemented the most economical technology on extension of gold. And so I believe in those spheres we have very strong potential. But starting from last year, we pay more attention on more than 31 crucial metals and materials, and we are tasked on that as a ministry. And taking into consideration this new reality and on processing, we have started the projects on processing those rare materials, and we are partnering with Italian Pisa University, and from 2025 we started new college on those areas. And I would believe this university, the training is in English, and I believe it will raise their international status, and 70% of their study time they will spend in scientific research and in production facilities. And also I would like to mention that that in the areas of critical minerals, and in the preparation of human resources and specialists, we are preparing agreements with international universities, and I believe by 2030 we will have all the human resource capacity to extract precious metals, crucial materials, and we will have the trainings in Uzbekistan.
On the panel today, we also have UK Ambassador to Uzbekistan, Ambassador Timothy Smart. Ambassador Smart, having heard about TMK briefly today, what strategic opportunities do you see for the UK government or the private sector in collaborating with Uzbekistan with critical raw materials?
خوش geldiniz. Uçum kadar rahmat Khan Javorlingus Kham uçum kadar rahmat. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. It's a true pleasure to be part of this panel. The UK is eminently proud to support Uzbekistan's ambitions for a modern, sustainable and globally integrated mining sector. Our partnership is already producing tangible results. Just last year, UK Export Finance, UKEF, completed its first ever deal in Uzbekistan for guaranteeing £12.6 million of support for Al Malik mining, and one of the largest copper producers in Central Asia and globally. And that financing enabled the purchase of advanced, fully automated machinery from Weir Group, a Scottish multinational, helping to modernise operators and boost productivity. And this is more than a commercial transaction. It is a symbol of our shared commitment to innovation, sustainability and long-term cooperation. And I was very struck by Emir's presentation just now, the focus on R&D to support the vision. Really brilliant to see. And I hope that some of the world-leading British institutions, whether Cavendish Laboratories in Cambridge, other world-leading institutes we have in the UK, can support this journey that the president has set for the country. It's really positive to see, and I hope there's a lot more we can do in those research partnerships, which I think could be very strong with other partners here today. That's something that I think the UK has, something which could help. Moreover, we are actively encouraging strategic partnerships in critical raw materials, including lithium, tungsten, and rare earth elements. These resources are vital for the global green transition, as we've been hearing, and Uzbekistan's reserves offer tremendous potential. And the UK is keen to collaborate to support that vision of responsible exploration, processing, and value change development in these areas. And then, for example, we have 3 different offers on that. Tomorrow and the next day, we have someone from CONEX coming, which is a G7 initiative to support governments like Uzbekistan, and GIZ have led on it, and the UK is supporting as well, on ensuring that when you negotiate contracts which will last decades often for infrastructure, for mining, that you do it to the very best international standards, and they will give capacity to stretch ministries and other ways to actually make sure you are negotiating the very best you can for your country, to standards which means you won't end up in arbitration in future. And that's a really positive offer. So even that detail of the transaction negotiations, which can, over a lifetime project, result in hundreds of millions or tens of billions of savings, we are trying to help. UK export finance, I mentioned just now, we have an envelope of over £3.6 billion to support growth in Uzbekistan, so long as we have at least 20% British content. That can be in design, in research, in actual materials, in maintenance. We have an offer to help there. And I think also a point you made earlier, Han, about capital markets. When you think about capital markets, one of the world leading capital markets, clearly London. And one of the offers I have as UK ambassador is to make sure that all the companies here in Uzbekistan and international partners, when they're looking for debt or equity, that they think about London as one of their premium options to go to for listings, to access that finance, to drive this vision. So again, turn to our teams here. I have representatives from UK Export Finance, from Department of Business Trade here today, who can help you make those links. So as Uzbekistan continues to reform and open its economy, the UK stands ready to support with expertise, investment, and technology. We believe that working together, we can unlock new opportunities that benefit both our nations. So thank you genuinely to TNK, to the President of Uzbekistan, to my dear friend, the Deputy Minister over there, and his expertise on the panel for helping us discuss what that partnership is doing and what it can look like in the future to support the vision.
Thank you, Ambassador Smart. I think the session that follows this is we're going to be talking about financing projects and the capital markets. I think it's going to be an interesting discussion on that. But thank you for your comments. We also have representation from my home country, United States. Deputy Ambassador Heather Burns is with us. Deputy Ambassador Burns, how is the U.S. supporting American companies in partnering in critical raw materials, particularly after what you have heard, what TNK offers?
Hurmatli vazirlar, hurmatli hamkasblar. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Han. Just to tell you a little bit first about my own background, which I think tells you a lot about the U.S. government disposition towards both this sector, commercial opportunities writ large, and our growing bilateral relationship with Uzbekistan. I arrived into this role in August as deputy to Ambassador Hennick, but that was not my first trip. I came here first in December of 2021. From 2020 to 2024, I was responsible for the U.S. Department of Commerce operations and trade policy across the region, including Uzbekistan. And I am the first ever deputy ambassador anywhere in the world in the history of our service to come from the Department of Commerce. And that was not an accident. It just shows you the importance we place on the commercial relationship. President Trump has made it very clear that a key priority of his administration is critical minerals. I know the government of Uzbekistan also places a high priority, and I think that creates a window of opportunity for us to make really significant progress. Uzbekistan is, for us, a very important partner. A couple of examples, I think, that illustrate that. Of course, Foreign Minister Saidov met with Secretary Rubio in Washington, D.C. He was the first foreign minister from Central Asia to have such a meeting. We very recently hosted a visit from the Acting Assistant Secretary of State, Eric Meyer. This is the only Central Asian country that he has visited so far in that role. I think, again, underscoring the importance of the relationship. We have had a strong partnership already for several months, specifically in critical minerals. In September, we signed a memorandum of understanding on critical minerals with Uzbekistan. We also brought the largest ever delegation from Uzbekistan to MINEX, and it was the largest delegation in Central Asia. And just to put that in context, I know the mining professionals here are very familiar with MINEX, but for any others, it is the premier mining event in the United States. It only happens once every 4 years in Las Vegas. We also have hosted a number of U.S. delegations. One recent example from the state of Utah, about half of the delegation members, there were over 20 organizations who came, about half of them were mining organizations. The U.S. Geological Survey has been working in Uzbekistan since 2019. We look forward to continued cooperation with Uzbekistan, and we look forward to supporting U.S. companies to enter and expand in this market. We will help U.S. companies find partners. We will help them expand in the market. And we also have some new financing opportunities available, both Export-Import Bank of the United States, which is looking to prioritize both the critical mineral sector and Central Asia as a region, as well as the Development Finance Corporation, DFC, formerly OPIC. And we hosted a delegation from DFC recently, including their acting vice president. So I guess summary, we are very optimistic and we look forward to continuing to develop this partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have a representation from the German side. Deputy Minister Michael Weber. We know on the German side there's a strong push for supply chain diversification, particularly in the automotive industry and for clean energy. So in light of what you have heard of TMK, how do you think this fits into Germany's strategic source plans?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Ilan, for taking me into this panel. Dear audience, Assalamu alaikum, my co-speakers. I would like to answer your question a little bit in the context of our cooperation with Uzbekistan here. We are one of I think, the stronger players here. We have a very, very intense development cooperation encompassing more than 1 billion euros in last year, including budget support and very, very much technical cooperation that is entertained mainly by GIZ, also financial cooperation by KfW. But when we come to our topic here now, it has to be seen that the German industry structure is a little bit different from what we have heard before. We have no big mining companies, but we have engineering companies, we have machine builders, we have consumers, OEMs, as you said. And our industry, especially our key industries in Germany, the automotive industry, the electrical sectors, the chemical industry, are in a large need of critical raw materials. I have projections from an agency that is working for us that show a huge demand for CRMs and other rare metals, which is mainly based on our initiative to increase the share, the content of renewable energies in Germany. We have established structures for that, structures that you can use for cooperation. For example, since 2010, there's a federal agency, a Federal Institute for Geology and Raw Materials, which is hosting the Federal Agency for Raw Materials. they provide the information about any aspects of critical raw materials to the industry, but also to science and research. You also mentioned before, I think one of our co-speakers mentioned before, cooperation with the mining University Freiberg, which is also a very, very important partner, has something to offer. And we also have a political commitment to cooperate more with Uzbekistan in this respect. The new coalition government has in its coalition treaty that it intends to instigate more projects on production and utilization of critical raw materials. They would like to diversify, as you said, the imports and to enhance partnerships on IHATE. I think that's a very important aspect. The new chancellor, Friedrich Merz, is happy to also introduce a raw material fund of the federal government, so-called Rohstofffonds in German. And this funds will be doubled in volume soon, up to 2 billion euros. It's funding projects, cooperation projects, research projects, all kind of projects that are supplying the industry finally with critical raw materials. And it's selecting right now partners for possible collaboration. We will work with this via KfW Bank, which is very good because bankers can count and the bankers are able to make a judgment about whether it's bankable and working or not. So we created a political and a scientific framework for diversification. We wanted to ensure a sustainable and long-term raw material supply for our fairly large industrial base. And we are focusing on concrete projects in that. There's also projects that support Uzbekistan, as Timothy said before, with projects like CONNEX, where we would like to strengthen the bargaining power, the negotiating power that the country has. But it's mainly for us to develop joint strategies that ensure the supply for our industry, a sustainable supply, securing a long-term provision of what we need. And this is especially true for rare earths, for lithium, for cobalt, where one supplier has a very strong influence. And the cost of dependencies are evident when there's only one or very few suppliers, and current export restrictions for specific critical raw materials showed us that we need maybe a short-term crisis management, and that should serve us as a lasting incentive for us to systematically reduce dependencies on single or few suppliers. Having said that, nevertheless, this situation presents a challenge to the German industry and carries geo-economic coercion potential. Therefore, it's essential to diversify. And that means that we also have to look at Uzbekistan, and we're beginning to do so. Maybe, hopefully not too slow, but we're on the go. We're glad to see that there's a significant interest in German industry in investments and partnerships. We are providing a significant role in providing technical equipment and know-how. You may know that we are deeply involved in the modernization of AMC in Al Malik. Our companies also have interesting projects in NMFC in Nava'i. We are talking about hundreds and hundreds of millions of investment of very modern technologies that are sometimes unique in the world. So we are already involved, and we will continue to be so. And we hope that we can improve the sustainability of Uzbekistan as well. So what we also see as a very important, as I don't see my friend Timothy Toivo Klar here on the speakers panel, I think he was planned in. We also have a European initiative. I would like to mention that. The EU Critical Raw Materials Act and the initiative for strategic raw materials partnership with Uzbekistan. You are very well aware of that. We would like to continue with this partnership and strengthen it. And in this context, actually, we would also like to include more partners than only one, but we are concentrating right now on Uzbekistan because there we see most of the opportunities, as you mentioned, untapped, sometimes not completely explored, not completely bankable, but we can support, let's say, not with the mining industry itself, but with other industries around it. So having said that, we might need to mention that for Germany or for European countries, there's also an important aspect that is actually regarding the transport. If we have to transport large amounts of critical raw materials, especially of bulk like copper and others, to Europe, we have to look at the transport cost. So everything that is improving the transport infrastructure, the middle corridor solution and others will be important for us and will be supported by us. So with that, I would like to close. Maybe there's more questions to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So just as a sample of the panel members that we have, it's very obvious that the governments are very interested in the critical raw materials, particularly on the supply side. But again, it is the businesses that really execute that desire. So it is important, these business associations that we have, and we have a representative from one of those business associations, Alina San, American Uzbek Chamber of Commerce. Alina, I know you have, by the way, anybody that would like to have introductions to American companies, Alina is the person, incredible network and an incredible desire to share that network with you. Alina, from where you sit at the chamber, what do you see as the most effective ways of turning U.S. interest into Uzbekistan critical raw materials?
Thank you so much, Han, for the opportunity to be here. And my congratulations to the Ministry of Geology and TMK for organizing such a stellar event. And obviously, huge thanks to the First Deputy Minister, Mr. Khadaev, and Chairman of TMK, Abdullayev, for being at our US-Uzbekistan Business Forum, which is our annual event, which was held right the day before the Tashkent International Investment Forum. And my congratulations to TMK for signing the MOU with one of our members, Bini Althaus of Kof Capital. I think that for those of you who don't know us, very often I hear, oh, you are the AmCham, or you are the US Chamber. No, we are the American Uzbekistan Chamber of Commerce. We are based in Washington, D.C., and you will be surprised, but we are the oldest business group in Washington, D.C. among Eurasian, Central, and Eastern European business associations. So Uzbekistan should be proud that you have the most successful joint venture that was established in 1993 by the group of American companies, including Newman, to work with the government of Uzbekistan and with the people of Uzbekistan on the strategies and on the opportunities that the governments, and I'm sitting here in a great company of the diplomats, of the government officials representing the private sector, and I do hope that next time Artur Polyakov and his team invite more private sector here to this panel so that they can share the views. We have been, as I said, in business for more than 30 years. And I think what helps is that in the US, and how they can confirm the business model of there's a business partnership between American companies and the US government. And I think that's a true reflection of a successful implementation of grandiose ideas. And when I say grandiose ideas, I really mean grandiose ideas. So the government has the strategy, the government has the platform that the US private sector is eager and ready to utilize in order to bring something that sometimes the government bureaucracy doesn't allow to do. And so what we bring is we bring research and development. And I saw a very impressive list shared by the TMK of different universities. And I hope that next time we'll see the University of Utah, the University of Montana, University of North Dakota, Nevada, and Texas, and many others who not only bring the research and development, but they also bring business partnerships. For example, like Tesla and University of Nevada, right? Earlier on, Han mentioned about he asked why is critical minerals. And so I'm using my cell phone, and God forbid my battery goes down, I would lose my notes and I would be mute here and I would try to improvise. But I think what we've witnessed throughout years of our experience is that the best way to collaborate is to listen, is to digest, discuss, and then propose. Obviously, as a business, we cannot force our ideas. It has to be mutually beneficial. And I think this is the recipe of the American Uzbekistan Chamber of Commerce successful operations in Uzbekistan. For those of you who are not aware, we were actually the originators of our US Kyrgyzstan and US Tajikistan Business Council. And these two councils were actually formed by the members of the American Uzbekistan Chamber of Commerce because they saw the opportunity. And the views of the private sector were fully aligned with the vision of President Mirziyoyev, who prioritized C5+1 in order to provide American companies and companies from the West with a platform and with massive opportunities. So I think it's market scale, something that we've been looking at. And again, having been in this business for more than 14 years, I can tell you that there were times where we as a business were knocking on the doors of big companies in the mining industry, in the aviation, in the consumer goods, asking them to come to Uzbekistan. However, the tides have changed. So this year, we brought the largest business delegation of more than 100 companies to Uzbekistan, more than 100 business representatives to Uzbekistan. And surprisingly, there was a handful of people who were actually based in Uzbekistan. The rest came from the US, they came from Europe, they came from Asia, all to be here and all to listen to what the government of Uzbekistan, including with the TMK, including the mining ministry, have to say about the opportunities. I think that what we've realized and what we've seen is that there is a vision, there is a plan, there is an investment fund. And I'm delighted that we have Franklin Templeton, who is now working with the government on prioritizing these plans and providing the platform for the investors in the West and in the US in particular to be part of those discussions and to see if they can attract more shareholders into the opportunities. But before I conclude, I'd like to kind of like maybe provide a few suggestions what would help Uzbekistan attract more companies from the US. And I think that for those of you in the mining industry, there is no secret that many things depend on the licensing. And so I think that Uzbekistan has made a tremendous progress and tremendous improvements in making the legal sector more transparent and more attractive. One of our founders is White & Case, and so they can confer and they can actually confirm also that Uzbekistan has become a much more attractive place for investors. And when we talk about the investors, we talk about the return on investments. But in the technical field, such as mining, licensing is important. I think it's the predictability, the longevity, and also the stability. And when we talk about the stability, I'd like to kind of like sidetrack and say that look at the world right now. Uzbekistan and Central Asia appears to be the only stable place which still attracts a lot of businesses, and people do travel to Uzbekistan. They do travel to Central Asia, despite what's going on globally. We would also like to work with you because in today's world, it's all about the technology and it's all about digitalization. It's no longer about manual work. I mean, there is a certain degree of manual work, but if you look at the Caterpillar, if you look at the John Deere, if you look at all the big companies that we represent at the SpaceX, and so we would like to see, I think, more discussions about the intellectual property rights and respect for intellectual property rights as well, because companies will be more eager to bring their innovation, to bring their technology, if they see a good and strong cohesive partnership with the government. And again, just the fact that Pini Althaus, who has been working with many investors, who jumped on the ship and said, I want to sign the MOU with TMK, is a great example that there is a trust and confidence. What we do want to see more is, and I think that that's something that Heather just alluded to, is on the financing. The reality is that when it comes to American financing, we are absolutely more expensive. I mean, the financing rates are higher, but only because we are market-based. We are not subsidized, and in the US, it's a market economy. So we are not subsidized by the governments. We're not subsidized by different government agencies. So I think that when you look at the offer by the American companies, looked at the project cycle, do not look at just procurement. Look at the beauty and the advantages of working with American companies. They bring reputation, they bring the legacy, they bring transparency, they bring best practices, and they also hire local employees. So it's a capacity building. If you look at any American company that operates in Uzbekistan, raise your hands. How many Americans actually do work in Uzbekistan? Are we talking about the thousands? Are we talking about hundreds? Are we talking about dozens? Just a few. And you know why? Again, this is the advantage of working with American companies. We do train, we invest our resources in training local staff so they can grow. Because again, it's all about mutually beneficial opportunities and mutually beneficial partnerships. And we provide the platform for the local staff, not only to grow the Uzbek enterprise, but our goal is to make sure that Uzbekistan is a strong global player, so that the Uzbek nationals who work at Coca-Cola's, at Air Products, at GMs, and many others can lead global headquarters eventually. And I think we have seen it happening already. They do lead operations in many countries in Asia, in many countries in the near neighborhood as well. So we would like to see more of that. And just to conclude, I think that's talking about the partnership. When you come to work with American companies, be aware that there is also bureaucracy. And I think that my best advice to you, if you have an American company representative, you have the directors here, you have the managers who cover the region. I know that in some countries and in some cultures, the hierarchy is bottom up. In the corporate culture right now, the trends have changed. It's bottom up. So it's the directors who are here responsible for the region. They drive the decisions about investments. They drive the decisions about whether or not the company should go full force and engage more with a particular region. So I would say build more partnerships with people who are already on the ground, because corporates are like big states. Within corporates, our members fight for Uzbekistan in a good sense. They want to attract more investments because in the US, Uzbekistan has very strong competitors, and I'm not talking about competitors from the region. I'm talking about Brazil. I'm talking about Argentina. I'm talking about Canada. So I think that our goal here, and the reason why I'm here, and hopefully next time we can bring many of our members, is to showcase that Uzbekistan is not regional. It's not local. That we as American companies who have been invested in Uzbekistan since 1993 want to take Uzbekistan global.
So we have 5 minutes. I mean, that dialogue has generated so many questions in my mind, but I do want to give the opportunity to the audience, maybe for one or two questions. And if you don't have it, I'll ask the question because I'm dying to ask these questions. But go ahead. Any questions?
Hakan Arden from DMT, International Mining Consultancy Company. Just wanted to check, especially TMK's approach to project evaluation. I saw that there was one word mentioned, PEA, Preliminary Economic Assessment. I was wondering how the TMK is approaching to PEA, in-house approach or outsourcing to the outside world, and then leave the decision to afterwards. If it's in-house, what are the criteria to give a project a green light or red light? Thank you.
Yeah, Hakkı, I think you will be the right person to answer.
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you very much for raising this question. So we are considering to make a approach to use our own resources and also to use international consultants at the PEA stage, like performing the metallurgical test work program. So we utilize international consultants to do the test work program, and resource development, and most probably the mining and reserve calculations. Again, we utilize international consultant at PEA level as well. So there could be another scope level, of course, the scoping studies and the exploration projects when develops comes to a certain level. Of course, internally we will consider as scoping studies, but certainly when we move to PEA and PFS study, we utilize international resources to be able to comply with JORC standards. Thank you very much for asking this question.
Any other questions? Then I'll ask them a question. Deputy Ambassador Wemmer, within EU, there is an incredible organization called ERMA, European Raw Material Alliance, where it houses most of the end users within EU, OEMs within EU. What I'm continuously puzzled in our dialogue, as engaged as the governments are, including yourself, the engagement from the end users and the OEMs is not as active as at the government level. How can we get them engaged in this dialogue, particularly for TMK? How do we have a roundtable discussion with the end users that are a member of ADMA? What would you suggest we do?
Thank you, Han. First, I'm not a deputy minister. Thank you for the promotion. The ambassador of Germany, so that should be suffice for the time being. Well, yeah, thank you for asking that question. I would like to answer it from one national perspective, because what is happening on the European level is only so far controlled by us. It's influenced by us, but right now it looks like we are partaking in the strategic partnerships the EU is actually preparing and entertaining for the area here. But we have created our own structures, and those structures deliver also to those European structures. We have that institute for raw materials that we have founded right now that is providing very, very significant information to the companies. We have companies that are very strongly engaged in this area here who can act as a multiplier, and they do. We just had a fourth, as far as I know, German-Uzbek Economic Council in Düsseldorf, where we had more than 120 visitors. And it was a very, very strong, let's say, representation by the Uzbek side. Prime Minister Aripov headed it. So we do have this cooperation already in the country. And to talk to us means talk to the chambers, to the business confederations, especially BDI would be very interesting. The so-called Eastern Committee of the German industry, and to those agencies. Those agencies are very, very good partners for you because they distribute the information to everybody who is interested in that field. But we have those pacemakers. Those companies are already there for 10 years and more. And you know, as also Elena said, for American companies, German companies come sometimes maybe a little bit slowly. They may be a little bit reluctant to take risks. But when they come to stay. And they are reliable. They like to rely on, let's say, not on moving grounds, but on a reliable legal and legal framework and reliable conditions. So I think when we talk about the European aspect of it, we would have to involve the European Union. I don't want to speak for them, but we should support them in everything they do. Thank you.
I think, Arthur, we're on time. Yeah. Again, thank you very much for joining us in this dialogue. Thank you very much for all the panel members taking the time. Thank you very much for our team presenting TMK. Thank you.